Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of.
Startup Chat.
My name is Afshin Deuce.
I'm Mo.
Hi, Mo.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. So, last time we chatted about storytelling
Yes.
from the context of a startup,
Mm-hmm.
and the takeaway was start with something you've actually experienced yourself and a
Mm-hmm.
pain point that you felt so
Yeah.
that the conversation can be genuine and can
Yes.
come across as impactful. And then we talked about the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do we turn that into a problem that is feasible to solve, and how do we quantify that problem? Now, I was thinking to continue this conversation for the
Mm-hmm.
next few episodes, and let's talk about different elements in a pitch.
Okay.
For example, we can go talk about the solution now. Then we can talk about different business models,
Mm-hmm.
and we might be able to continue depending on how much time we have into traction, team, and projections and the ask and exit plans and addendums or everything else that we want to talk about.
And they all
So,
can be part of storytelling in your pitch. Yes.
of course, they
Uh,
have to be because
mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, you're telling a story to bring the audience along on the same journey that you're taking with your startup.
Let me ask you a question first.
Yeah,
The story you have in your pitch,
yeah,
it should be tailored for example, investors, and also tailored for, I don't know, if you are applying in an incubator,
yeah.
that's
So,
something else.
I believe there are different elements in each pitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what your ask is.
Yes.
But there are commonalities in the way you present the story. For
Mm-hmm.
example, the hook needs to be there. So you need to start with your own experiences. How did you come about being here? And of course, it also depends on how much time you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
There could be a 90-second pitch or a 3-minute pitch or a 10-minute pitch. And you could pitch to get others to collaborate with you, or you
Yes.
could pitch to investors, or you could pitch to get into a program. And so they all require that storytelling element to it. But how much do you focus on that, and how quickly do you move on to the next parts of the pitch, and
Mm-hmm.
what your ask is at the end would be different depending on the purpose of the pitch. So going back
Mm-hmm.
to what we talked about last time, and where we want to continue today. So I think once you present the problem and you quantify it,
Mm-hmm.
it's best to present a solution
Yeah.
and to quantify that. So, what are your thoughts about this?
Solution comes, when you are talking about storytelling in a pitch, solution is part of the story you are creating, and it will back to your skills.
Yeah,
Based on your skills, your story continues. How my skills at this journey help me to find a solution,
hmm,
and how I craft everything
yeah,
around the problem to create a unique solution
yeah,
that is efficient
yeah.
and cost effective.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always say to people I talk to, when you quantify your problem and
Mm-hmm.
then you validate that is true, and then you quantify your solution and you kind of validate that is true, the solution better be a fraction of the size of the problem in its quantifications, right? So if you have a $10 problem, your solution better cost $2.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to treat a $10 problem with a $12 solution,
Makes
right?
sense. Yeah.
so so of course the solution has to be feasible and it has to deliver value.
Mm-hmm.
Now again, we're not talking scientific here, it's just opinions, but we're
Yep.
sharing our experiences with you. But there is this thing called the value proposition canvas,
Yes.
which talks about what is your customer's job and what do you have to do that job as your solution or your product,
Mm-hmm.
and what are the customer's pains, and how are you going to take away those pains with your painkiller, and what are the customers good to have, so wants and gains they call it, and what do you have to create gains for the customer. So I think a solution can be looked at from different angles.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember once I was talking to a few friends and I said, if they gave you a family van or a Lamborghini, which one would you pick? And money, no object. And most people said, in the friendship circle, they all said, oh, we'll pick a Lamborghini. And then I started poking around fun with them. I said, well, the Lamborghini only has seats for two people. So if there's three of us going somewhere, one of us has to walk or Uber.
Yeah.
How does that
Mm.
work? And then we arrived at the conclusion that that desire for you to drive a Lamborghini comes from the image and the status
Mm-hmm.
that you demand. So sometimes solutions could be emotional drivers, right?
Yes.
Like, do you feel good about it? Let's go make you feel good, or let's go make you look good, or,
Mm-hmm.
and it might not be a solution that's actually a functional one. It's more of an emotional one. Like, if you take this into consideration and you look at the same example of the cars, if you get a utility van, let's say one of Dodge, Chevrolet, whatever, one of these big cargo
Mm-hmm.
utility vans, and you compare it to, let's say, a sports car, probably the utility van gives you one or two choices for the color. Usually they're all white,
Yeah.
right?
Black or white. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you look at that sports car, you probably have 200 custom colors that you can pick depending on how much you're paying for it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So going back to your solutions, when we talk about solutions, I think you need to be aware of the type of values you're delivering to the end user. You definitely have to solve the problem, but then you can add more layers to it.
Mm-hmm.
Not only does it solve your problem, but it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
It makes you feel accomplished.
And what
Like,
type of customer you're targeting?
exactly, and that's one of the key elements, right? What's your customer's persona?
Yeah.
So, talking about personas, what elements would you want to have in a customer persona so that you can custom deliver a solution to them?
So I think to find the right persona for your product, you should have lots of market research,
Yes.
tons of market research, talking to different people in industry, and maybe your assumption at the
Yeah.
beginning will be 100% change
Ex-
at the
And
end.
I've seen that happen.
A lot.
Yes. Yes. So you would think this is a perfect customer for me, and
Mm-hmm.
then you start exploring that area. You create a persona, and you go talk to a few of them, and all of a sudden somebody pops up, says, "Hey, why not this?" And all of a sudden your perspective changes, and you start thinking, "Oh, I think that's a better choice."
Exactly.
Like you're talking about potholes, right?
Yes.
So when you go off-roading, you kind of expect potholes,
Yeah.
right? But when you go on a highway, potholes could be deadly.
Exactly.
So, when you're writing about, okay, who's my customer? Who do I want to approach? Who do I want to talk about potholes
Mm-hmm.
with? On a highway, you have an ear that's willing to listen, but then I don't remember having seen any potholes on the highway because they're much more proactive to it,
Yes.
right? And so I think I'm answering my own question. I think maybe highway managers are better people to talk to about potholes, but there's so much on top of it. Maybe it's just side roads on a municipality would be a
Mm-hmm.
better choice. So we wouldn't know until we do a discovery, right?
Exactly. Yes.
So customer personas, discoveries, finding a solution that makes sense, something you can quantify, and it hits the market well and gathers enough momentum for it to be
Yes.
scalable. Of course, the market has to be big enough so it can scale.
And this is why we usually go with a MVP to
Yes.
customers. We develop the core of the business
Yeah.
and then go for some pilot programs,
Yeah.
some pilot projects to see what are the real pain points for the customer.
Yes.
Then we decide, okay, what features our customer need.
Yeah.
Start developing around them. But before that, whatever you are developing, just waste of money.
Okay. So I have a question for you here.
Sure.
So you're telling me we go to an MVP and then
Mhm.
we do continuous iterations of that
Yes.
MVP so that we find a proper product market fit. How do you pick the elements you want to roll out in your MVP?
Explain a little.
So let's say you've got 20 features that you believe are going to be great for the
Mhm.
customers.
Yeah.
And you want to create an MVP.
Okay.
Usually the MVP should be the leanest type of product you can put out, and then you keep adding to it if required as you progress,
Mhm.
right? How do you pick that one feature and start developing it
Okay.
before you roll it out?
Let me give an example from our business in PayFal.
Mm-hmm.
So in PayFal, we are looking on different type of flaws on the road surface.
Okay.
Okay. But maybe at the beginning, it's just better to go and give an MVP that can only detect flaws, not very
Okay.
specific about different flaws.
Okay.
See how it works, how customer reacts to that.
Okay. So rather than categorize the flaws into different categories,
Mhm.
let's just do a blanket flaw detection
Exactly.
and let the customer decide how they would want to categorize it
Yeah.
down the road.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting from you, which I agree with, is try to keep it lean
Exactly. As much as you can.
as much as you can. And at a certain point, stop engineering, get it out to the customer's hand so you can get feedback from the customer to decide how to take the next step.
Exactly. You can develop until end of the world.
Okay.
But you should sometimes stop and see.
You're an engineer.
A little mind of engineering, but not engineer.
Okay. A statistician.
Statistics, yes.
Yes. So you study statistics, and that's why I'm here, because every time I talk to engineers, they love engineering. But you're telling me you can engineer to the end of the world, but you got to stop at a certain point and start delivering it out. And it's very refreshing to hear that.
Let me give you an example. You're using Google for different, you can use different features of Google.
Okay.
There are numerous types of features if you want to explore.
Yeah.
How many you are using right now?
The search.
Okay.
And Gmail.
That's it. And if you are really active on Google, you add calendar as well.
Yes. And the map, maybe.
That's it.
Okay.
Give me another one.
Oh, Google Scholar, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
When you start thinking about, yes, maybe you can find.
Maybe some widgets.
But
maybe
there is thousands of features Google has developed.
Yes.
And we have no idea about them. Maybe if you're a small company and you're thinking to have as much as features like Google have, you will be broke in 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah. So keep it lean.
Exactly.
So I want to recap what we've talked about. To have a proper solution, it has to be feasible.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be quantified. You have to know your customer through customer personas. You should give out an MVP that has the bare minimum features in it so that you can get feedback as soon as you can. So you need to have that loop where you keep reiterating, your features and your product until you find the product market fit. And the simpler it is, the more powerful it would be, the more feasible it is, the more scalable it is, the more powerful your solution would be.
Exactly.
Okay. I could live with that.
Yeah. So when we were talking about storytelling in a pitch and how the solution can be fit in your story.
Yeah.
So how you can conclude this to storytelling?
Good question. So the story becomes with your personal experience on how you felt the pain.
Okay.
And then it goes into the problem that caused the pain. And then it would be a solution that alleviates that pain and puts you in a much better position than you were. So the same story that, hey, I was doing this and this happened, and how big the pain was that I felt. And now I'm looking at this and I'm going, wow, why didn't anybody think of it? Why, like, I want to do this because I want to make people's lives better. And so it's kind of a continuation of the story that creates that wow factor. It's enlightening to the audience, thinking, I felt that problem. Oh my God, I can get rid of it now.
Yeah.
So let's go help try to make it happen.
And as we were talking, I concluded that you cannot tailor your story at the beginning. As you are growing and building your MVP, going to customer discovery, your story can be fit to that experience.
Of course, so you're writing your chapters as you learn and grow.
Okay.
Right? You can write chapter 1, but as you learn and grow, chapter 2, 3, 4, 5 could take a life of their own.
It's very good to have a record of that.
Yeah, exactly. Just so you have kind of a documented pathway to how you grew to where you are today.
And most of people don't do that.
Yeah.
And you will regret it one day.
That's true. I've seen this, and I've done this for some of our companies. When we started, I'd take some pictures of us trying to do things. And then later on, we'd go back to it and say, see, that's where we started. And then, wow. And then you start reminiscing the thoughts that you had when you started and how you developed into something you are today. That's nice.
Maybe it's a good idea for any startup founders.
Yeah.
Just keep recording yourself every month.
Yeah.
Do a pitch and record your pitch.
Yeah.
And after 1 year, see how it goes.
Yeah. Like, just document the progress.
Yeah.
As a documentary that later on you can kind of, in a kind of nostalgic way, look at it, reminisce it, enjoy it.
And you see your growth.
Yeah, you see your growth. I agree. Very good. So thank you, everybody, for, do we have anything to add?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. So thank you, everybody, for watching us, listening to us, being with us. Please do subscribe and like the video if you liked it. We would love to have your ideas and any suggestions on future subjects that we should talk about. Until then, have a great day.
See you.
Bye-bye.